topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Triversity Talk. I'm Wendy Stewart Kaplan, whatever name I feel like using tonight. And I'm happy to be with you on this wonderful Wednesday. My gosh, it's finally spring, right? Spring has sprung, and don't we all feel so terrific? So, I love to get on here and tell you what's happening in Triversity. And as many of you know, Triversity, the Pride Center, is located in Milford, Pennsylvania. We service the rural areas of the tri-state area. So that's New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. And we are an actual center on Hartford Street in Milford. You can stop in and visit us. We have a wonderful banned book library. I love saying that. I encourage you to visit our banned book library. We have a game night. We, of course, have groups. We have a wonderful teen group. And we've got so much upcoming stuff. We've got so many things coming up. I'm going to have to read from my phone. So we were traditionally people knew us about First Friday. It was an event that we did the first Friday of every month. And it was super, super popular. And I was spending a lot more time in Milford, Pennsylvania at that time. And I would kind of put it together along with other people. Anyway, long story short, on that First Friday is back. And this is very exciting. It's going to be on May 1st. How about that? And please go on our Facebook page where you can read more about it, or you can actually go to our website. But First Friday is really designed to bring community together. And this First Friday will be held at a wonderful gallery in Port Jervis, New York. All right. Again, the address, which I believe is Front Street, will be on our website and on our Facebook page. Also, this Saturday, we have traipsing with Triversity. Really a lot of fun. We go for a hike in the woods, and everyone knows Pennsylvania has the most beautiful woods. And it's just really great to get out there with friends and make new friends. Information about that, of course, again, on our Facebook page and on our website. For Pride Month, I'm helping to put together an event at Luna Park. For those of you who never heard of Luna Park, it's not the one at Coney Island. It's Luna Park, run by Ricky Boscarino in New Jersey. And it is, I just can't even describe it. It's like a fantasy castle, but huge. Ricky created this whole art center. He's an amazing sculptor, painter, tile work. I mean, just one of those Renaissance people. And he is opening up a special day for Triversity. So that will be on the June 14th. Oh God, I got too many dates in my head tonight. June 14th. And please just let us know. You can put it in the comments on Facebook. For people that follow me, you can just email me and say, I'd like to join. It's going to be June 14th, and it will be from 1 to 3. And I can only tell you that Luna Park is just so spectacular. Let me see. There's even more stuff. Okay. Paddle for Pride is the Saturday before New York Pride. So we're talking the last Saturday of the month in June. It is a huge event for us. It is very well attended. All of the information about ticketing and things like that will be on there. I also need to, I told you I have a lot of things to share tonight, but it's good. I talk fast. I also want to give a shout out to Friday night. In the city at the Y on the east side is the amazing Hannah Q Dance Company. Hannah Q has been a tremendous supporter of Triversity, and I will be the MC for her show, and that show starts at 7 o'clock. So I think I hit just about everything that there is. If I forgot anything, you will find it on our page. Okay, so tonight's guest is someone that's not only a friend, she has been on this show a lot, and people are like, she's always on your show, and there's a reason for it. I have never met such a prolific, award-winning writer. Her books are just absolutely riveting. And the first time we had her on the show, we had her come on and talk about her book, The Harlot's Guide to Classy Cocktails. Okay. Jez's Jesus Juice. And she has just been putting together these amazing novels that you can't put down. They actually combine history with characters that normally would not be included. And I'm saying that because the characters, of course, are LGBTQ characters. And we know in history there were LGBTQ people, but they were left out of a lot of books. And she's putting them on the map. She is got a brand new book out. Okay. The title is extremely intriguing. It's called Secrets of the Tall Grass. Love it. Okay, let's all welcome the one, the only Jezabelle.
Hello, thanks for having me back again. I'm like
back again. Don't even worry about wearing out a welcome on this show.
I'm like a bad case of the clap. No penicillin will work.
You just keep coming back for more. No, but you're far more pleasant than the clap to have. And for anyone that's had the clap out there, I like to include my audience. Anyone who's had the clap, you're going to find that Jezabelle is way more pleasant than having.
I don't know. My husband doesn't say that.
Oh, touchdown!
Today actually is my 10-year wedding anniversary. Believe it or not.
Can I share with our audience how fabulous your husband is? You can tell 150% supports every single thing that you're about. Loves for you to shine, and I'm sure is the wind beneath your wings.
Absolutely, the wind, a hurricane beneath my wings, and a blessing from up above.
Yeah, right.
No doubt at all.
A blessing from up above. So here we are tonight. Okay, I saw you, of course, the other night at Margot Channing's show. Margot Channing, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar, is a wonderful drag artist, and her performance has heart. It's got soul. It's not really just drag. It's like it's emotional. You know, she brings up stuff for you. So it was great to see you there, and a lot of other people that we know here in New York, and it was live at Pangea. Your latest book, Secrets of the Tallgrass. I have to tell you, from the time I heard the title, your titles in general, this one in particular, they're very provocative. You know, a lot of times what will draw a person to a book will be the title, and you would think, well, of course everybody knows that, but not everybody does that. You can have a book with really great content, but I'm telling you, if you don't grab them with a title like that will draw them in and make them grab that book, you might as well have nothing inside.
True.
Secrets of the Tallgrass. Let's go.
So where does it come in the Tallgrass? Yes. And to your point, you eat with your eyes first. So it's the same thing with reading. It starts with a title and it starts with a book cover. But I do have to tell you that originally, the original title was not Secrets in the Tallgrass. It actually was Berdache, which is a French term that's very derogatory that was used in early America for two-spirit people and for intersex people. And so that was the original title. But I recognize that Berdache would probably be very difficult for people to not only say, but to make a connection to, whereas Secrets in the Tallgrass kind of gets you wondering.
Girl, I would have totally talked you out of that. Okay, the first thing about that word, I need for you to spell it for me and then say it again.
It's Berdache. Berdache. Yeah, so it's a very difficult, it would have been a difficult word for everybody to say, but it was a word. It gets mentioned in the book. In fact, it's a title of a chapter, but
As
it's a powerful word. It's a horribly derogatory word that we don't really hear so much today. It's kind of died out with you know, the American West, you know, in the way that it was. It's kind of gone the way of the pioneer.
Right.
And you know, I think it turned out to be a blessing, because when the name Secrets in the Tallgrass came to me, I just knew, like, oh my gosh, like that's it. This is what this really is.
Yeah, it's a great title. So you said it came to you, and you know my feeling about how all of a sudden all of these novels, they burst out of you, Jezabelle. It's really there, you know, people can spend the course of their life writing things, but all of a sudden, you know, you had Jesus Juice, and you know, things that went with your comedy as a performer, which people knew you as, and boom, 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 out of left field. Now you're writing novels, all right, and really good ones. Ones that, you know, people, I mean, everyone that I know, and it's not just our friends, everyone I know that's ordered one of your books is like, oh, this is so good, I can't put it down. So when you said it came to you, how does this come to you, Secrets of the Tallgrass?
So the title really came to me when I was just thinking, what's the essence of this? Because there is a big secret in this book that kind of sets the whole story in motion. And in the end, really everybody is carrying some type of secret along the way. And where else to bury them than in these tall grasses of the beautiful windswept plains of America before it became this overly populated, overly saturated place. The West was where people went to sort of live out a dream. And so what a place to bury these secrets, right?
Oh, it's brilliant. So the fact that you there's two things that stand out for me in the latest book, that your lead character, of course, is intersex, and the fact that you said it in the West. Can you share with everybody how that came about?
Sure. Well, first of all, thinking about the whole collection, and thank you for those beautiful compliments. I really appreciate that, because you write with a passion, and you never really know how it's received or going to be received until it is. And you know, sometimes people love stuff, sometimes they don't, but it's like such a boost and a lift when something you've done and really poured your soul into connects with people. So I do appreciate that. I did want to say, not let that go by and not say thank you.
Oh, please. I really do enjoy you as a writer. You know, I get a lot of books that cross my way, and you know, yours, I wish I had the tangible book. You know, I'm going to Portugal. I would love to have that in my suitcase to read while I'm gone, but it's on my my iPad. So I guess I like books, Jezabelle. I like to smell them. Okay,
I do too. Actually, I'm a physical reader. I'm a physical reader. But to your point earlier, so I have once I wrote Jesus Juice, my religious book. The day I finished, I thought, I'm going to start writing novels. And I really want to focus on, I could have, remember, as you said earlier, I started with The Harlot's Guide to Classy Cocktails, which is a comedic cookbook, right? Then I did a religious book, and I thought, I really want to do something literary, because it's very expected that looking like this, which I'm basically a great big clown, that I will write something else comedic, and because I do a lot of comedic work.
You are. When people are one way, I mean, every now and then they'll put out a memoir, a comedic person, and it'll have everything in it. But for the most part, they stay, what do we say, true to brand.
Yeah,
you have gotten away from brand.
No, I did, because I really wanted to show I wanted to immerse myself in something that would be a little bit heavier. And I wanted to write about our community that's been around since the dawn of time.
It has.
Yet for some reason, they seem to think we're some sort of modern phenomena, and we're really not. So I thought, well, I'm going to, just out of the gate, I said, I'll write 4 books. I'll start with 4 books in historical fiction, and I'll pick different eras, and I'll pick different representations. And I've never, ever read a book, personally, where the main character was intersex. So I thought, I'm going to write a book about an intersex person. And I'm not going to put it in the modern era, because these are historical fictions. Where could I go that dreams can come true, dreams can be crushed? And I immediately went to the West. Yeah, the prairie. And you can reinvent yourself and be something. But it starts in New Orleans, which is another place you can be wild.
Right.
And then it goes to New York City, which is another place of dreams.
Right.
And it ends in the American West. A little feedback. Not sure if it's me, but hey, they always say I have a big mouth. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, how did you, like, when you think of queer culture, when you first started to write the books that are now, there's 4 of these books in the prestige, right, genre that you have written, what the overriding thing is, you're taking history and combining it with queer culture. Why that recipe?
Yeah. So to the point that I have had very few experiences. I apologize. I don't know what the feedback's from. It wasn't there a second ago. Let me see if I can sort it out. But
I can still hear you okay.
Okay, great.
That's good. That's good. That's even better.
Yeah, and I hadn't. So the question being why queer history?
Yeah.
And queer history because
with these histories, like why you took that road for your novels.
Yeah, because we only see queer things in modern art. We don't see a lot of queer things from old and ancient art. That's really why I went there with the book. So I wanted to do something that kind of harkened back to older times in all of the books, went to different eras where we might have been minimized or overlooked completely. And I could go to 1,000 different eras. We could keep going with this collection until the end of time because we've been around.
Absolutely. Which brings me to say to you, hasn't this always been there? I mean, two-spirit, the fact that someone is a two-spirit person, that's a very old concept. Any of First Americans know this. In the Indian culture, I think there's other cultures that are more accepting of it. Have you put your agenda together to maybe get readers in these Western countries, quote unquote Americans, to say, hey, this has existed right along? Are you using it to enlighten people?
Yes. And so that's another reason why I picked the West. And you'll note in the book that it deals directly with the Pawnee. So I went to the Pawnee, a very specific offshoot of the Pawnee on the plains, because they have an acceptance of a two-spirit individual. And this has gone on across Native American communities for thousands of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
except now we're in a time where people, if you read some of the things that I read, because I troll a lot of the very far right blogs, I read this stuff on there. I've never seen such a rejection of things that are actually cultural. And I think it's overridden by hate. So what you've done is you've put out contemporary fiction that could possibly be true, because I know you do your homework. It is based on the truth, right? And
I do tons of research.
I know, I can tell.
Yeah, I spend countless hours doing a ton of research for these books.
Yeah.
And so in this one, I had to research everything that happened, what it might have looked like in New Orleans, what the streets might have been like, what it might have smelled like, what did they eat. And that was just at the beginning. What a boat might look like that somebody might travel on, how they might get from one place to another. And that's just for the first few pages, right? How they see, what the hotel might look like, right? What the fashions would look like. So it takes a lot of research to do a historical fiction.
That really shows in what I think your strong suit in your novels is, like Blood Rouge. I totally had a picture painted of what the Nazis looked like when they were walking through the streets and looking for that gay club that had no identification on it. You painted such a heavy duty picture of that. And it's a brilliant use of words to bring your reader in, because pictures go in our minds. It's not just words on a page. I think anybody can do that. Using words to actually create a reality of the person reading, that's a whole other thing.
Right. And so everybody thinks I speak fluent German from Blood Rouge.
I know.
And in this book, it's filled with French. And I said, God help me if somebody asked me to do a reading, right? Yeah. And I cannot pick a page with a word of French in it because I'm going to butcher it so badly. But even that takes a lot of research too. I had to do tons of research for language to make sure that it's just the right language, because it's peppered throughout with that. And it's peppered throughout with a version of Pawnee. And so that also took an enormous amount of research to hit
because
just
it's a whole other thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but that's sort of the fun. It's enjoyable to get into these worlds and to learn about them and kind of sit in them and then try to bring them to life on a page, and so I enjoy that.
I'm curious, like, because to me it seems like you're just cranking these things out. I'm really amazed how complete they are, and they seem to be coming out so quickly. How many hours a day do you have to devote?
I will write. A lot of times I'm up. I could fall asleep early, get up at 1 and write for a few hours, then fall back asleep for an hour, go do a whole bunch of other stuff, write an hour here, an hour there. I spend a lot of time writing. And so to your point, I've basically been like a maniac, a complete writing mashugana for the past two and a half, almost 3 years, nonstop.
Nonstop. It's definitely been nonstop. And to create books that one is so different from the one that came before, there's writers like, okay, I'll reference, and I know this, you'll know this one, V.C. Andrews.
Of course. Yes,
I was very hooked on V.C. Andrews, but a lot of V.C. Andrews books, and we all know that wasn't the person's real name, but a lot of those Victorian-esque novels, you could tell they were very similar in the whole way the story was structured. How do you make yours so different? Because it's got to be more than character and setting.
It absolutely is. It's a strategic choice on my end, because I don't want to be bored. If I'm going to spend my time doing this, I actually want to enjoy it. And so a lot of writers, and you have to put, bread on the table. And so you follow formula. And I'm not a formulaic writer. I don't necessarily plan it all out. I have someplace I'm starting, someplace I'm going, and then I learn along the way. And that's sort of some of the enjoyment of writing it. So that's why they're each so different. So I consider myself a genre fluid author. Most authors pick a lane, and I have some other things that I've written that are hopefully coming down the pike, so different from even these. But that's because I want to enjoy it too, and if I enjoy it, then hopefully somebody else will. I'm too old to just do something like to go along to get along. That's not me anymore. I'm not that it ever was, but I'm old now. I'm ancient. I'm Methuselah age, and so I'm going to do it.
More ancient than you.
But I want to write what I want to write now, and so be it.
And maybe that's what is just so freeing for you, maybe that's what it is, that you can just focus on what you want to do and not think of, writers that take writing classes, right? Kids that major in English in school, they teach certain structures, and it's not very organic when it's that way. Your whole process seems to be completely organic.
Yes. Yes, to an extent. Like I said, I enjoy having a sense of where I'm going, but a lot of times that changes too, because as I get to know the characters, they might become totally different, and I might have to go back and change something, and they might be something I never imagined that they would be. And in this book, there are characters whose stories I didn't know until I was 2/3 through.
Right.
Oh my gosh, this is who they really are now. Now I get them.
I have to share with you because of that. I make small documentaries, and I have an idea of what I want to shoot when I go someplace really remote, like in Africa. But truth be known, people are like, well, what's it going to be about? I stopped telling people that, because honest to God, I get there and the story that I wanted to tell is not the story that's happening in front of me. Therefore, I have to switch total gears and allow what I'm feeling and seeing to become my story. And what you're talking about in your process, I think it's very much the same, right? You'll be on a path with a character, and then as it evolves, you're going to have to switch because of the path that character's taken.
Absolutely. And there are times that I kill a character off, right? And they just go back and I absorb them into two characters become one, even though I spent a lot of time on them. Or I wrote a wonderful scene and I just love it so much and it's going in a drawer. You know, it's got to be put away and maybe to live in another life someplace else. You know?
So that's interesting that you can do that, because any good editor will tell you the worst part about working with a writer is getting them to edit their things. They hang on to everything because it's so absolutely precious. The fact that you can self-edit and put something that you spent a lot of time in and it was going to be part of it, and then turn around and say, nope, not working. That makes you bigger than the book at that point.
Because I really am very committed to pacing in my book. There's like a rhythm and a beat going. And if it doesn't pay service to the rhythm, to the beat, to the pace, it's gone. It's got to be moving us like a train, moving. It's got to move us to where we're going. Otherwise, which I do find in a lot of other books sometimes, and everybody writes differently, but I would rather have less words and have it be impactful than a bunch of words that make me feel like I'm a writer.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And your books and your writing, it does move. I can pick up a book and it'll be a good story, but I find myself having to read the sentence 2 and 3 times because somewhere along the way where it got too wordy and maybe should have been morphed into something else, it wasn't. And I have to go back and say it again to myself and then move on. But then, you know what? Then it starts to drag. Then it becomes a book that sits by the side of my bed that I do a chapter a night on because I can't get through it. There's a big difference between that. And it's not, how can I put it? It's not less than, okay? It still can be a really great book, but there's a difference between that and, well, I'm going to compare it to Netflix. You know, when you binge watch Netflix because it's so damn good, you got to see all 6 episodes. It's the same with your writing. And now that you're sharing the thing you never shared before about the rhythm of your books. So maybe that's what it boils down to. It's that rhythm, and you draw the reader in, and we want to just keep moving along with the events, moving along with the character, because we have become prey to your rhythm.
And I can feel it. I can hear it. I can feel it. But I think that has to do with being a performer, is that as a performer, it's about the audience.
Right.
It's not all about you, even though all of this lends itself to think it's all about this, but it's really not. It's really about the audience. And just because you like it doesn't mean it pays service to the audience.
Right.
You know, and to the greater good. So ditch it. Keep it moving, right? And that keeps me excited though too, because I read through these over and over and over again. And if it doesn't pay service to that beat, to that rhythm, to that movement, I will move it off.
Then you move it away. It's funny. One of the things I was going to ask you, as a performer, you feel the audience. How do you feel for your audience when you're writing a book? And I had that written down, and you just kind of channeled it from me.
Yeah, they're in my mind.
They're in your mind.
They're not in my mind in the way that I will decide to not do something, because some people in this industry will not go there in places because they're afraid to push their audience. That doesn't stop me, but what stops me is just giving them something that inflates me but doesn't lift the story. And what I mean by that is in the publishing industry, one thing I have learned over the past several years, and to the point before about other, it's just the way the business works, is safety. Whatever is safe. And sometimes that can be bland, and I'm not safe.
You're not bland.
Yeah. And so, every single book that I've done has some level of content. Not that I've set out to be controversial, as I've said before. I'm willing to go there. And every single one of these books have had some level of controversy.
Right.
Which always cracks me up because I really don't seek it out. But I'm also not afraid to we can't open our minds if we don't go there.
Right. Well, okay. Let's talk about the controversy. Some of the pictures you paint are uncomfortable. They're impactful, but they're they're very uncomfortable. Certainly in Freedom to Love, there were moments in there, and of course in Blood Rouge, that really are kind of icky or uncomfortable, but yet they are intrinsic to the story. And as a reader, I thought, I'm really glad she doesn't sugarcoat it, because you do write about things that actually did happen. And I think someone that would take a more bland point of view would say, oh, I don't need to go that far, right? That's going to be
I've heard that.
Right.
I've definitely heard that and been asked about this. And my answer is, history was not a pretty package. Right. Why are we glossing over? I'm sorry, if somebody went to a concentration camp, do you think that was a beautiful, wonderful experience? No, it was hell. Do you think slavery and the way we treated people was a beautiful experience? No, it was hell. Right. And so we have to face hell so that we don't go to hell again. And in many ways, we're going to hell in a handbasket across the world right now, because we want to live in these lands where only one type of person is.
That's what the agenda is.
Yeah. And so I am never afraid to go there and shine a spotlight. And it's not just to shine a spotlight to be controversial. It's to get us thinking and to move the human condition forward, move our experience, especially queer stories. I'm sorry, they just cannot. There is space to have sanitized, lovely stories. I love those too. But every one of them cannot be sanitized.
Right. Right. Yeah. It can't all be a fairy tale. And when you think about it, even fairy tales, if you took in college, like any of those analysis of Hansel and Gretel or stories like that, where they would emphasize what the metaphor really was. The metaphor was ugly. It was absolutely ugly. But on the surface, right, they made something that they called a fairy tale. I tell you, with your style of writing, no one is expecting it to be sanitized. You give how can I say it, all the nuts and bolts, and you bring your reader right along with you. Now, this is a very personal question, but you said I could ask anything.
Ask anything.
Okay. Okay, so this is what you need to know. I don't know your regular name. You told me once. I just know you as Jezabelle. Yep. And maybe I see you as Jezabelle, and I've seen you a couple of times not as Jezabelle. However, when you're writing, who are you?
I'm Jezza, 100%.
100%.
Because now this, I don't know if this has ever come up before, but you may or may not know this, but there have been many times where I have been asked to participate in things that have been for writing, because I wrote some screenplays. They won, but people did not want to move with them because I had the name, my drag name, and they said, we will move forward if you go as a boy name. And I said, absolutely not.
I think I remember you telling me that on another show, right?
Yeah, the same has happened with books. And so people have said to me and continue to say to me, drop the name, change the name, and you'll have a much more expansive career. But I refuse to do that, because this gave me a voice that I didn't know that I had. I had a voice, but in a very different way. And so I refuse to do that to make somebody else feel good. And why would I shed that when there's power?
Yeah.
In that voice. So I do write as Jezza. And at this point, I guess, she's become such a big part of me, even though she's me to some degree. Yeah, to some large degree.
Right. But you said it. I am Jezabelle. That is a strong statement. I am Jezabelle.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
who you are.
Yeah. It's taken over a big part of my, yeah. Very interesting. It's very fascinating. Life is very fascinating, because you really, in some ways, don't always know where you're really going. I don't care what you think you have planned out. Life doesn't always work out quite like that.
Well, yeah. And you know what? For people that have not heard you on the other shows, can we just have a little history of how Jezabelle came about and a little bit about you?
So actually, I came into drag because I wrote a comedic web series about 3 drag queen superheroes called Jezza and the Bells, 3 super women who were supposed to, drag queens who were supposed to save the world. And I was producing this web series as well, and I casted two of the sisters and couldn't find anybody that I wanted to play Jezza, the main part. So never having done any of this before, I stepped in and did it. And right after that, it wound up kind of all over. But right after that, people started reaching out to me to write stuff. And weirdly, first it came from Northern Ireland, of all places.
Wow, interesting.
Then it came from England, from UK proper, then over in Asia, and then the United States, right? And so it was just like fascinating, and people were asking me to write as Jezza and do different things. So I had two of my own columns. Then I started contributing some to the things like the Huffington Post, the Advocate, little pieces here and there on top of my columns, and then here we are now with my books. And now I'm on 6 books, and I say to myself, what the heck happened? Especially, I wrote the nonfiction Jezza's Jesus Juice, and then I turned around and pumped out 4 novels. And I say to myself,
that's what really blows me away, because on a spectrum, like it's you, but it's the ability to be able to do that is like, that's huge.
So I'm not going to give that up. I'm not going to change that for anybody. I refuse to.
And I know you got a lot more in the hopper. You must have, under that big, tall red hair, all of these ideas that are just brewing.
Yeah, I have actually 2 that I've already finished that are out, sort of floating around, being looked at right now. Very, very different. One's a dark mythological thriller, and then the other is a light comedic mystery. That's just was a whole lot of fun to write, and I'll share more about this industry. Is fascinating because it's irreverent, but it's fun. But also, look at who I am, right? And it was, and so in the traditional field of publishing, I've already received some pushback and saying, "Love this. It's too, like, the humor is too good, too gay, too almost like political," was one of the words that was used, because it goes there through humor, and that's just not safe right now. And you'd have to tone it down. And
okay, I'm going to use a very old saying. What does that got to do with the price of eggs?
Yeah,
really?
Because yeah, there's a big movement, as you're probably aware, from the current administration to eradicate us, specifically in the publishing industry, as well as the creative industry across the board.
Creative in general, and just about anywhere else you can think of. Yeah. However, okay, the other side of the coin, I see all the success you've had, all the times that you're showcased, the awards that you've won. What is that, chopped liver? That's real. Okay, so there's a definite place not only for this kind of writing, but in the world out there. I mean, people want to read this. So I don't understand what they're saying. It doesn't hold any water for me whatsoever. I understand where it's coming from, because we hear that rhetoric all the time, right? Erase, 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 erase. I mean, you know what happened with the Stonewall flag, right? And you saw the pushback. That flag, God damn it, was up again in 36 hours. And I want everybody to remember that. That is the reality. You too, Jezebelle. At the end of the day, when they tell you that, the reality is your books that are winning awards.
Yeah, and to your point, well, now they've agreed to leave the flag, and yeah, I pretty much to me, I'm going to stand by what I need to stand on.
You have to.
I'm not going back, and I'll change for editing's sake, absolutely, if a publisher wanted that. But what I refuse to do, even though I'm thankful for anybody who wants to read it, what I'm not going to do is not be me, because that's not where I'm at. If I was, maybe perhaps, as I said earlier, if I was much younger and I could be bullied and pushed around like that, maybe perhaps, but I'm not. And so I have something to say, and I'm going to say it if I have to kick the door down in 6-inch heels.
Well, you know what? You can say it with your words. It becomes 6-inch stilettos. If the content and the words in it are powerful enough, you can kick down any door. And you said it, you reach a certain age, and I'm at that point, and I've been at that point for a long time. I don't care. You know what? If I have something to say, I'm going to say it. And you may not be everybody's cup of tea, as my mother used to say. And you know what? That's okay. That's
100%.
okay. Obviously, you are so comfortable in your own skin and with what you're doing right now. So obviously, you've also realized how you can support other writers in this genre. You've formed a platform called Bookalicious. Could you tell us what that's about?
Absolutely. So this has been really exciting for me. Is as I started to get out there, I thought, you know what? We don't get the same sorts of opportunities to showcase our writing. We just don't, not in the same way that it happens in the rest of publishing. So I started Bookalicious. It's an online virtual LGBTQIA plus book event, reading event, where I cultivate a small group of authors each time from different parts of the world. I've had authors from the UK, from Canada, different parts of the United States, pretty open. And I try to mix genres that they write, representations that they themselves represent, fiction, nonfiction, spiritual, novels, erotica, a little bit of everything, poets, and give them a chance to read a portion of a book. And then we give books away to readers that come. And we've had people as far away as Australia who've stayed up and come and join us at like 3:30 in the morning in Australia.
Like, how do you do this? You do it worldwide. How do you do it with the time change?
People come. They're intimate groups, usually about somewhere to 30 to 45, which is pretty big online. And people come. We've had Australia, Spain, Sweden, lots of UK, of course, Canada, and lots of the United States. And we've Mexico, I believe, as well. And it's just been really wonderful because not only do the writers get to connect right to the readers, but also to each other. And they leave there feeling like refreshed and empowered to see that they're not alone. This can feel like a lonely business because it's the writing can be lonely. Writers have to do a lot of marketing today. There's a lot a lot of hook in it. And to get together and then there's so much pushback within the industry. And then not just the industry, but as you're aware, just like with my Christian book, you can get a whole ton of hatred coming at you online. And so it's nice to come together and say,
hey, this is great.
Hey, we got this.
Yeah.
I think we can keep doing this.
And we can support each other.
Absolutely. So the next one is July, I want to say the 25th. It's on a Saturday. You go to my website, IamJezabelle.com.
I am Jezabelle.
Yes. If you go to my website, you will find one of the links is in there to Bookalicious, and you can register. And I do registration for Zoom only for safety reasons, just because if you're willing to put an email address down, you're probably not going to be a problem. But even if somebody comes that's crazy, we can boot them right out.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I never thought about that. Yeah, you could have like a stalker or someone that's bizarre do that. Yeah, there's always that.
We live in.
But the beauty of the world we live in is that you can grab people from all over the world, bring them together, and do the Bookalicious event. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Have you ever had writers from I'll use, for example, like the Middle East, where you can be put to death for being gay? Have you ever had writers from anywhere like that?
So not yet. I'm totally open. Universe, listen to me. Send people my way. Absolutely, they would have a platform immediately. Really try to mix up who's there, and I'm very, very open. And so if it doesn't happen, if somebody wants to be on it doesn't happen at the first one. They happen quarterly, and it's really about just matching the right group together. But don't.
Oh yeah, to make a really interesting show. I love that you're doing this. I think it's a really, really great idea. I would think, I know you do a lot of conventions because you always post them. When you do those, they're writers, I would think, that would all be perfect for a Bookalicious, right?
Yes, absolutely. I found a bunch. And in fact, next month, just a few weeks from now, I'll be at the Rainbow Book Fair, of course, the biggest LGBTQIA plus
And I
book
wrote
fair
it
in the
on
United
I
States.
have it on my calendar. If I am in town, I want to go to it. I've missed a lot of your book signings.
Well, maybe you'll be there at that. Let's see, May 10th. It's in the center in New York City.
Calendar. I should show it to you. Where's my calendar? I actually wrote it in because it was in your newsletter. And by the way, for anyone listening, sign up for the newsletter. It's not newsy per se. It's really interesting to read, and because Jezabelle's a great writer, and it talks about everything that you're doing and what's coming up. That's where I got the rainbow. It's a rainbow book fair. Is that what they're calling
Rainbow
it?
Book Fair. Yes, you can find my newsletter. Just go to my Instagram. I am Jeza, JEZABELLE. Find me there on Instagram, and you can find everything. I have a link tree with everything there. But yeah, I try to keep the newsletter like I'm peeling back the curtain a little bit.
No, it's great, and it's light and it's totally readable. As you can imagine, a lot of our friends are sending out newsletters now, and I enjoy them. But I find that I have so many newsletters in my feed. It's like, how am I ever going to get through all of these?
That's why I don't make it dense. I don't see the point in making it.
We're also some bombarded. I pulled out this quote that I love about your new book, Secrets of the Tallgrass. This story moves like a freight train coming down the mountain with no brakes. Wow. I think that just really, really sums it up. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the book because this just came out. And the character, your main character, Freddie Smith. Why did you choose to spell Freddie with a PH?
So Freddie Smith is with a PH. We'll talk about the last name in a second because Freddie is intersex. And I wanted a name that could be construed as male or female. And in this case, by putting the PH, you're left sort of with a little bit of a question mark as you go in, as you first approach the name. And so that was really my line of thinking. I just immediately, same thing like with everything else, I just sort of knew this was the name, and PH was the way to go because it could be kind of mysterious. It kind of leaves us wondering exactly like you asked, why in the world PH? But we knew it's Freddie.
Right. Who are they? Who is this person?
Exactly.
Interesting.
And Smith, without giving too much away, Freddie has quite a life as we enter this book, and she doesn't really have a connection to anyone necessarily, and so Smith is a very generic name.
Got it.
Don't write me like Judge Judy used to say, don't send me like letters telling me how dare I say that about Smith, the name. We know it's a name that's can be quite universal, and I wanted a universal name, so that's why I went with it like that. We did get her real name later on in the book, though.
Right, that comes out later on. In terms of your experience with intersex, what has been your personal experience of people that you met?
So that's what was so fascinating. I said to myself, I've done a lot of research on this, and I really want to put out there that I am in no way an expert, any stretch of the imagination. And to also point out that intersex people come in an enormous rainbow of iterations, right? This is just one representation in this book. And so I don't have a ton of experience, didn't going into this. And I said to myself, it's part of our acronym now.
Yeah.
Right? It's always under the umbrella of plus, but now we name it in the I. And yet we almost barely acknowledge them. Yeah. And so it behooves us to know a lot more about, they know all about us, the LGBT part, and then the T part we've learned a lot more about over the years, but we don't necessarily know all the others. And we need to, because they're as important, if not more. And so I really did a lot of research on this, and I already had an open mind, but it has blown away for me really any sense of the binary that we are so beholden to as humans. when you think about that, there are literally millions of people walking this planet right now that are intersex, right? And how many over the course of history, because it's estimated that something like 2%, 3% of the population is intersex. Now in different iterations, but that's millions of people that are alive right now. And they don't get any representation or any air.
No, so, you're that's why I asked you that. Thank you, first of all, for raising awareness. And yeah, as a group, they don't. And that group it's got all its own stuff with it too, because you meet some intersex people that had a surgery that was chosen for them when they were born by a doctor, by a parent. I've also met some people that that had both physical characteristics and were living their life that way. But then that comes with a host of things too. It is, I feel, and I'm not an expert, but one of the least explored, least known groups. And when someone like you, Jezabelle, makes that the main character in a story, that's going to make a lot more people aware and a lot more people think about it, right? And as an author, that's what your job really is to do, to tell the story and get people thinking. Well, you won't believe it, but we're at the end of time.
Wow. I can't even believe it. What happened?
It just, it just goes so quick. So in the 1 minute I have left, tell me how people can find you.
So definitely go to my Instagram. I am Jezabelle. Go to my website, IamJezabelle.com. Come out and see me with the most fabulous comedian, Ika Velli, on June 20th at the Copacabana for Pride. We are putting on a hilarious comedic variety show with a few special guests. It's called Hated Rivalry. So we're taking a play on heated rivalry, and we're going to kill each other, basically. So please come. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I hope to see you. And pick up my books, The Presence Collection. This is the 4th one. It's the last one for the moment as I move and step into other as I step into other genres. But I do have a big plan for the one when I come back.
You do. I totally love it. So before you go, I love taking the pictures online, as you know, because you've done this show before. So let's do it. Love it.
I told you I gave you big lips today, so
I'm so happy. Big lip sisters today. Jezabelle, thank you so much for taking the time to come back on again. And I'm hoping to get to the Rainbow Book Fair. It's on my calendar. And so is your show with Ika Velli at the Copa, for the world. So you take care of yourself. Keep doing what you're doing, and you're spreading the joy out there, right?
Yes, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And thank you to everybody for having me and having me back in your life.
And here's to big hair everywhere.
Absolutely. Amen. And hallelujah. Bye.
Bye.